Now, New Jersey has some of the best Italian-American restaurants in the country. It's a kind of a weird place where you can pick some random spot in a shopping center and it blows you away. And in a lot of these places, I go and they're offering this one special that I never see anywhere else. It's always like a chicken rollatini, a stuffed rolled chicken breast. But this was breaded, deep fried, stuffed with mozzarella, prosciutto, and served with a beautiful Marsala sauce. If you're French, it's something in the world of a cordon bleu, but whenever I had it, I just called it the Jersey Special. And it is basically like an involtini, which is something you find in Italy, but Italians and chicken, it's not like Americans and chicken. Before there was a lot of chicken production in Italy, it was mostly veal and beef and pork. So bracioles, things, those are all involtinis. A chicken involtini is much more of an Italian-American invention. And of course, in Jersey, they take it a step further, deep frying it. And it all starts with a chicken breast that we need to now butterfly open. So first thing I'm gonna do is flip it upside down. So we've got the tender on one side and the thick breast on the other. And what I wanna do is sort of take my knife and place it in that sort of seam and just sort of score the inside of the breast. Try and open it up. And you just kind of wanna take your knife and slowly make little cuts, butterflying open the chicken. Then turn it around for the other thicker side and do the same thing. So now you got it butterflied. Now we need to flatten it out. So put some wrap on top and then just gently flatten it out. If you happen to cut some holes in it, that's fine. We're rolling it up so you can kind of band-aid up any mistakes. But this is basically what we want so that then we can roll this up like a nice burrito filled with prosciutto and some mozzarella that we need to cut. Now for the mozzarella, I want to go fairly thin. And I take a serrated and I just kind of saw off some nice thin slices. This is a low moisture, whole milk mozzarella. We don't really want a lot of moisture inside of this thing. Creates steam inside of that cased breaded chicken that it's just better to be using a drier mozz. We don't need that much. And then I've got some beautiful thinly sliced 20-month prosciutto di Parma. Get the good stuff. Back to our chicken. Usually when you see something like an involtini or a braciole, you're sticking toothpicks into it or you're wrapping it in string. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna use a little science today. If you saw my homemade turkey deli meat video for Turkey Club, I used transglutamate or meat glue. Totally natural thing to use that will actually seal meat onto other meat. So first, let me just reorient it. How do I want to serve this? I'm thinking maybe roll this way and fold over like that. So we're going to go in with the mozzarella first, then layer down right along the middle, leaving some room around the edges so that we can seal it. Then on top, some of the prosciutto. Now, I wanted to season the inside. Pretend I did that. Actually, I'll just do it. I'll do a little black pepper as well. You could add whatever else you want, a little garlic. I'm keeping it simple. Now for the transglutamate, what I'm gonna do is just kind of sprinkle some along the edges. You're not gonna taste it, it's just simply gonna serve a function. That should be enough. Then what we're gonna do, fold it over, and then just take the part closest to you and then just start to fold it and roll it. Take that bottom and then make sure it closes nice and tight. And we're gonna let that glue kind of set before we get it breaded. We're gonna pop it in the fridge to let it hang out, and while we do, we can prep the rest of the ingredients. Now we're gonna squeeze 2 vegetables in here. Mushrooms for the Marsala sauce, and then broccoli rabe, which is just a way I figured I'd wrap this up into a meal that can kind of all live as one. So we're gonna take our shiitakes and we'll remove the stems. You can keep them for stock, freeze them, whatever you want. Something like a cremini mushroom, you can kind of keep the stem on, but with the shiitake, which is one of my favorites, I prefer to take them off. Then all I want to do is slice the vegetable into not super thin. We almost want a little bit of a thicker piece, knowing that it's going to shrink when it cooks by about half, and we want nice little thin strips that have a little meat to them on the plate once it's all said and done. Something like that's gonna shrink by about half. It's gonna be the perfect piece on the plate. And of course, we've got the broccoli rabe, a little green veg to go on the plate. Cut the woody stem off. We just want some bite-sized pieces, maybe like an inch or so. It's gonna shrink, it's gonna cook down. We're gonna cook it really nice. We're gonna cook that bitterness out of it, which is something most people don't like about broccoli rabe, and they don't really eat it that often, but if you treat it properly, you can kind of neutralize the bitterness and just make it delicious. Some sliced garlic, just cut them in half, peel off that skin, and then slice it thin. Get that into a little bowl. Now our veg is prepped. I want to get a little pot of water on the stove to blanch our broccoli rabe. If you've ever seen me cook broccoli on this channel, you know I never blanch it. I warn against overcooking it, but with this, we're gonna blanch it. We're gonna take our time blanching it, give it a couple minutes, and cook it in heavily salted water, which both those things are gonna help neutralize the bitterness. Then finish it in oil, garlic, chili, lemon. So now we're gonna set up a mini version of a 3-stage breading station. I got my flour, some scrambled eggs. I've got some fine Italian seasoned breadcrumbs and some coarse panko seasoned breadcrumbs. Just gonna combine those two. Then with some salt. We can take our rollatini, season that with salt, into the flour, get all sides coated in it. As you can see, it's pretty well sealed. Toss it in that egg, into the breadcrumb. We're gonna get it rolled up in those breadcrumbs. You want to sort of get it encrusted so that it seals, no cheese leaks, and it's nice and crispy. Now we're just gonna let that hang out and sort of just solidify. Then we can fry it up nice. We got our chicken ready, we've got our broccoli rabe ready, we've got our marsala ready to go. And the marsala sauce is gonna be our mushrooms, of course, Marsala wine, of course. We want a good, dry Marsala wine. Don't go to the store and buy the wine that's in every supermarket. That's not what you cook with. Just forget those even exist. We're gonna use a little aromatic flavor from garlic, and then of course a little help from our sponsor today, Kettle and Fire. And I'm gonna be using their classic chicken broth today. And Kettle and Fire isn't some run-of-the-mill grocery store boxed stock company. Their mission is to fix a broken food system by focusing on sourcing ingredients, time, and temperature to create great tasting, nourishing bone broths. And a bone broth is made from slow simmering bones and is the basis of every great sauce or braise or stew that you've ever had. But what makes Kettle and Fire different is that they're exceptionally rich in collagen, the thing that makes a broth special. It's got amino acids, vitamins, minerals, all of which can only really be coaxed out into a stock like this through a very slow simmering process. Conventional box stocks are often made from just like boiling meats, void of really any bones or nutrients. This got 100% organic ingredients, 14 to 20 hour simmer times, free-range chicken bones, and about a shelf life of around 2 years. This is my go-to box stock that sits in my pantry. It's got the great little box that I love. They're smaller, and I don't really use the big boxes in one go. So if I need more, I use 2. Otherwise, 1 box is the perfect amount. And when I'm done, I can just kind of store it in the fridge like that. Helps me not waste so many of the bigger boxes. So to learn more about the benefits of bone broth and to get your hands on some of this liquid gold, head on down in the link in my description. And I think we're just about ready to cook. What you're gonna wanna do is preheat your oven to 425 degrees. We're gonna basically fry the outside of the chicken, finish it in the oven. So we're gonna get a medium saute pan on medium-high heat, and I'm gonna add enough oil to coat the bottom of the pan. Once that oil is around a frying temperature, I'm gonna take my chicken and place it seam side down towards like the back edge. And then I just sort of tip the pan and pool that oil right where that chicken is frying, so you're kind of like halfway between shallow frying and deep frying, just to help those sides along to get nice and brown. I rotate every now and then, and once it's nice and brown, give it a flip. And then we're gonna repeat the same thing. Try and get all those sides nicely golden brown. And we don't need to fully cook it right now. It's too thick to cook like this. So we just are really kind of like searing the sides, getting that nice even color on all the sides, and then transferring it to a plate to finish in the oven. That looks about good to me. Once it's nice and golden brown, transfer it to a sheet pan or a little sizzle platter like I got. I really like using these things lately. We're gonna take a wireless thermometer. We're gonna insert that right into the center, and then we're gonna place that into a 350 degree oven. And we're gonna pull that out of the oven when it reaches around 145 degrees and allow it to finish carryover cooking. While that cooks, we wanna just drain off any excess oil and wipe out that pan, get it back on the stove. We're gonna use that to finish our sauce a little bit later. Now we got a pot of salted boiling water, and we're gonna cook our broccoli rabe. And we're gonna think about this the way we would fresh pasta. We're gonna drop that broccoli rabe in, just like fresh pasta, let it cook for 2 or 3 minutes. Giving it a little bit extra time in that salted water is going to tamper down that bitterness of the broccoli rabe. While that cooks, I'm gonna coat the bottom of a non-stick pan with some olive oil, and then I'm gonna throw in some of that sliced garlic and allow that garlic to cook, start to soften and brown around the edges, while the broccoli rabe cooks. After 2 to 3 minutes, I'm gonna strain out the broccoli rabe from that water and then just set it aside in a bowl. Now we can see that our garlic is slightly browning. We're gonna toss in our chili flake and then in with our broccoli rabe. And we're gonna cook that for about 30 seconds, getting that oil tossed in the broccoli rabe, getting all those flavors combined. And once we like where we are, we're gonna just hit it with a squeeze of lemon juice. It's gonna stop the cooking. We're gonna get it out of that pan and set it on a bowl and just keep that warm until we're ready to serve. Now our chicken's been cooking for a little bit. It's almost done. We can start to finish our Marsala sauce. So back with the stainless steel pan, I'm gonna get that on medium-high heat. To the pan, I'm gonna toss in a little bit of butter and a little bit of oil. And we're gonna cook that until that butter melts, begins to slightly brown. Next, we can add in our sliced garlic. We're just gonna use that to infuse that butter, and we're gonna remove it later. Then we can go in with our mushrooms. By now, I can see our chicken is at the temperature we wanna pull it at, so I'm gonna get it out of the oven, and I'm gonna allow it to carry over cook to around 155, 160, hopefully. It's looking nice. Back to the mushrooms, we're gonna get them tossed in all of that fat, and we're gonna allow them to cook and almost sear and become golden brown on each side. If you need a little bit of more fat, go ahead and add it. We're just gonna cook these on sort of high heat, try and sear off some of their moisture. And once they start to brown slightly, then we're gonna hit them with a little bit of salt. Once the mushrooms are nice and brown and that garlic is browned as well, we're gonna remove the garlic before we put the finishing touches on this sauce. Now I'm gonna turn off the heat and I'm gonna take my Marsala wine and I'm gonna add in about a cup or so of it. And I wanna allow that to reduce by about half. Taking note not to salt this yet because we're going to be reducing all of these liquids a lot, and salting it now runs the risk of us concentrating it down too much. Once that wine has reduced by about half, then we can go in, we can add about a half cup to a cup of chicken stock. It's just gonna give it a little bit more depth and body, but I will note I have had Marsala sauces in Italy that are just pure reduced Marsala wine. Now we wanna take that broth now, again, reduce that down. We wanna reduce it until it's thickened. It's almost on the verge of becoming a glaze. And the way you can tell is how there's just a lot more bubbles along the surface. Evaporation is happening faster, and when you run a spatula through the sauce sort of holds and that streak of the pan stays clean. That's when you know you're in a good spot. At this point, we want to turn the heat off and finish the sauce with cold knobs of butter. It's gonna cool that sauce down, it's gonna thicken it up, it's gonna make it glossy and smooth and balance everything out. Now is the time when you want to taste it and adjust the seasoning and add a little bit of salt. That looks beautiful. For me, it's glazing those mushrooms. It's gonna be the perfect sauce for this dish. So now we just want to cut into it. We almost want to cut a little bit on the bias, and the bias just means on an angle. Just kind of look a little nicer on the plate. Look at that, nice and juicy. Now all we have left to do is plate, and how I like to plate this is sort of start with a bed of that broccoli rabe right in the center and almost elongate it, the length of the chicken. Next up, we're gonna take that sliced chicken and just sort of drape it on top. So it's almost sitting shingled atop of the broccoli rabe. Then along the edges and around the plate, we're gonna finish it with our Marsala sauce. Now, if you walk into a Jersey restaurant and ask for the Jersey special, they're gonna look at you crazy. This is the Jersey special to me, but it is a beautiful dish and I encourage you to try it. And if you are from New Jersey and you know what I'm talking about, please drop a comment below. Doesn't that just look right? You know what I mean? Tastes exactly how you imagine it would taste. Incredible. An amazing way to like jazz up boring chicken dinner nights. Just an all-around incredible meal. Now, if you want the recipe, link's gonna be down in the description. And a reminder, school is now in session. My Patreon cooking school is now active. I got people sending me homework. It's real fun. New lessons every month, very interactive, where I'm actually your teacher and review your work. Interested in that? Link's down in the description as well. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.